And welcome to August, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah, baby, it's August. And we know August is fun, right? Because things start heating back up. The market starts moving a little bit more. We're finally out of the slow summer months. So I'm excited to be here. If you guys can't tell, I'm excited to start the month of August with some profits on a strong note. Have some fun with you guys. Always dropping those value bombs, making sure you guys are getting educated, moving the needle every single day, learning a lot, and also earning in the market. So again, I want to have a strong start to August, guys. Let's make it happen. Let's have a great day. Let's lock in some amazing profits and start strong and profitable. So hit me with a big ol' good morning, ladies and gentlemen, inside the chat. What's up? What's going on? What's crack-a-lacking? And then everybody on YouTube as well. What's up, everybody on YouTube? Welcome to the pre-market rundown. We're going to review everybody's stocks for the day. Make sure that you guys are all set, ready to rock. Make sure you guys are prepared for the day. So start typing your top stocks and let's go ahead and start strong. Let's get those reviewed. And then right around like 9:15, 9:20, we'll go into the morning game plan session. Well, I'll review my top stocks for the day and make sure you guys are prepared with my personal game plans, what I'm looking at and why. Because who knows, maybe you like the setup as well. Susan, Steve, Josie, Anita, Anthony, Steve, Trader, Adam, Stewart, Joey, Chris, Todd, Father. My goodness, everybody's inside the chat today. Everybody's ready to start August strong, baby. Let's go. Let's go, baby. I love it. We all set? A little bit of that mic check, mic check. Make sure we're all set, guys. And we'll go ahead and dive into it. Just waiting for some tickers to come on through, baby. There we go. You guys are coming in ready to rock. You guys are coming in ready to go. Boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, 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 chicka, boom. Let's get it. All right, cool. Mr. Steve, looking at NKLA. Let's look at NKLA real quick. Yeah, this stock is getting some great action to the upside. Look at that. Where we closed yesterday, we closed at 267. We're at 345. Nice little pop to the upside. NKLA finally getting a nice little break out of this consolidation, right? So NKLA had a nice big rip on up. Nice pullback, consolidating, decreased volume on the daily, looking pretty decent. And we just got a great pullback into the to its 200 SMA. And we just came down and just kind of tapped that 200 SMA last week and just really grinded that level, as support. And then yesterday was really the move, like what really started to ignite, this move overall with NKLA. We come down 4 days back to back, grind the 200 SMA, grind the 200 SMA, just grinding it, putting in this nice little daily low right here, right? From Friday into Monday, you get a nice gap up. Yesterday, nice big push. We actually come through and break this downtrend as well, and then we have a nice pop in volume. So yesterday's move really ignited this, really brought the attention and the eyeballs back on over to NKLA. And now we have some volume and some of this action and hype and momentum from yesterday clearly bleeding into today and bleeding in the pre-market. So definitely, I think the stock could have a nice, good day to the upside, right? Beautiful daily chart. Yesterday was a great day. We broke the downtrend, increase in volume. Now we're seeing that stock gap up this morning. And we could, again, see a lot of that volume and momentum from yesterday bleed into today and see a nice little green day. So let's see where the stock could go. It definitely has potential to the long side. So where can we go? Well, I'm going to first mark up yesterday's high of day because that lines up with some prior resistance levels. Like, look at all of this support back here in like October of 2022. Look at all of this resistance right here, January of 2023. And then look at this resistance level right here, just recently, right? Like 2 weeks ago, right around like 280. It's also in line with yesterday's high of day. So we're going to mark up that level. That's going to be a key level of support resistance, okay? And then let's mark up this spiking high that also lines up with a few points in the past as well. That's right around 295. And then let's look left. Like, where could the stock be going today? Well, I see resistance right around 320, right? We have a lot of resistance right around 320. And then let's continue to look left and just identify all of these key levels that really stand out to us, right? Here's this low of day before a pretty big bounce. That's going to be a key level of resistance. And then let's continue to look left, look left, look left. And then I see some potential to like 393. Like we may have a few pit stops between like 336 and 393. Like there may be a few places along the way up that we hit before pulling back. But again, the biggest level of resistance after we break 336 would be up towards around like 393. So I feel pretty confident that we have like our key levels identified from the daily. Now let's go ahead and go into the intraday time frame, and we can see that, yeah, this 336 level is being respected as resistance here in pre-market, right? And 336 comes right from the daily. So we can see that 336 is holding down as resistance. And where are we pulling back to right now? 320, right? And 320 is also a daily level of resistance. So that's going to be the next level of support coming on up here with NKLA. But here's the deal. If we crack below 320, where do we have room to fall back down to? Between 295 and $3. And let's actually mark that up with a box. All right, let's give ourselves a little bit of a range, right? Because we're going to mark up this high from July 14th, but we also want to connect these points as well. So that's going to bring you up to like 299, right? So like 299 into this spiking high right here from July 14th, right? Right around like 295. So this zone is going to be the best level of support coming on back down. And plus it was a prior gap. So we have this prior gap level. We filled it. We came up to it. Now we're above this prior gap level, which we could see is a lot of daily resistance, Now we're going to be above this zone of support. So this is going to be like the highest probability level of support here with NKLA, right? So if 320 cracks, and if we cannot hold 320, we're definitely going to be coming back down towards around 295, towards around 299 here on NKLA. And that is like the highest probability level of support. So like I would really want to see it crack 320, like crack 320 NKLA, dump on off towards around 295 to $3, right? Come into that really key level of support, hold on up, and then let us get long, right? Because that's going to give us more potential to the upside for profit. And that's going to greatly reduce our risk as well if we come down towards this zone of support here with NKLA. So I would love to see NKLA crack below that 320 level and get a nice drop down towards around 295 to $3 support. Hold that level, set up, then we could look to play it long for the next leg on up. All right, guys. So yeah, NKLA looks pretty decent today. And again, you know where your best of the best level of support is. If we come down and hold that level, where could we bounce back up to? 320. If we ever break 320, where could we go to? 336. If we ever break 336, where could we be heading up to next? 393 here on NKLA. So right now you have light support at 320. You could hold, you could bounce, you could have a trade right here, right now. But if 320 cracks, you're coming down towards around that $2.95 to $3 level. All right, guys. NKLA looks pretty good, looks pretty decent. Let's actually go ahead and put NKLA on the top watch list for the day. And let's keep this one on watch, guys. The Todd Faja. We got AMD with earnings tonight, number one. So AMD will be releasing earnings tonight. So it can go one of two ways, right? Most of the time, you'll see a stock like, I wouldn't say most of the time, but a lot of the time, you see stocks like run up and move up in anticipation to earnings, right? You see a lot of buying activity, and the stock gets some great action the day of earnings to the upside. So it's very possible that we see AMD have a nice little grind to the upside today, right? Because we have earnings tonight. But it's also possible that traders and investors just sit on the sidelines, right? Sit on their hands and don't really do anything with AMD as they await earnings coming on up. So it's 50-50. AMD could have a nice grind to the upside today ahead of earnings, right? And we could look to see if there's any opportunity to trade AMD long leading into earnings. One thing to be mindful of, though, when trading these options is the implied volatility is going to be at its highest right before earnings. Those premiums are going to be pretty inflated. They're going to be more expensive today than they normally are because the implied volatility is at its highest, right, leading up to earnings. And so one thing I want to point out before we dive into the analysis with AMD is don't swing trade options through earnings. right? If you grab options contracts today to swing through earnings and you're grabbing these when the implied volatility is at the highest, tomorrow when the market opens, the implied volatility is going to drop on back down and you're going to experience an implied volatility crush. We call that an IV crush, right? It's crazy. Like the trade could go in your favor, right? You could have put contracts on AMD, right? AMD could dump $10 overnight, open on up, and you're still down on your position. You're like, how the hell am I down on this position, right? AMD went with me by 10 points, right? I should be up. Well, the implied volatility dropping back down just completely crushed the premium of those contracts. You could still lose. So it's very, very risky to be taking option contracts through earnings, especially if you're buying the options contracts the day of earnings, right? The day before earnings. So keep that in mind that today they're going to be more expensive to trade. And then don't hold them overnight because the implied volatility will drop on off. You will experience an IV crush. And the last thing I want you guys to do is be on the right side of the trade and still lose on the trade and then get frustrated. You know what I mean? So here's the deal with AMD, right? So the first level that I really want to mark up is going to be this little gap level. We can all see that we have this little teeny weeny little gap here on AMD, right? And we've come up to it a few times and we've gotten rejected, right? We come up to it, massive rejection. Come up to it Friday, right? Big rejection yesterday. We didn't quite come up to it. But again, we just not looking great on the daily. I mean, at first glance, it's like the last 3 days, we've tried to break and move higher. We've tried to break and move higher, but we failed to get that break, right? Because we have this gap level, and this gap level is going to be an area of resistance, and it's also in line with its 50 SMA. And AMD has respected its 50 SMA quite a few times in the past, right? So we know that the 50 SMA is going to be a little level of resistance, and it's in line with this daily gap level, right? So this is going to be a key level of resistance for AMD between like 115 and 115.55, right? Is going to be a pretty strong level of resistance here with AMD. So here's the deal. Like if we can't break through that level of resistance here with AMD, like your best bet is to maybe look for a short, right? If you're coming up into all of this resistance and you can't break it and you see the market rolling on over off that level and you have a great short setup as well, like, hey, you could look to get short on AMD for the leg down into support. And where is like a very clear level of support here on AMD? I would say it's back down at like 112.74, right? We have some spiking highs. We have some pullback lows. We got this daily low here, right? We have a lot of resistance here from last Tuesday. We have a lot of support here on Friday, a lot of support at that level yesterday. So we can see that, you know, this 112.74 level is a very strong level of support. So if we can't break through this level of resistance, it's very possible that we see AMD just kind of fade on off a little bit, maybe fade on down towards around that 112.74 support before you see a bounce. So that is trade idea number one on AMD. If it comes up inside of this little zone, if we can't break above and we start rolling on over, you could look to get short down into this really strong support level. Okay. That's trade idea number one. Trade idea number two is AMD opens and just kind of fades on off at the start of the day into that support level. And maybe it sets up, maybe it holds, maybe it gives you a reason to get long. If you get a reason to get long, right, you could look to play it long back up into that zone of resistance leading up to earnings. Or AMD opens, breaks through that level of resistance. We clearly see it turn support, and then we could look to play AMD long for that little grind, right? Potential grind to the upside leading up to earnings. And so the question is like, okay, what if we do break this area of resistance and we see it turn into support? Like, where could AMD be going? Well, AMD's got a lot of resistance up here at like 116.39, right? Low of day, low of day, low of day, support, 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 high day rejection, right? Resistance, resistance, support. And it was also the close prior to this gap down. We have quite a few touch points at that 116.39. So you're very limited to the upside, right? Even if you break that level and hold it and you grab entries maybe around like 115.30, right? You have maybe $1 of potential to the upside. So you are kind of limited to how much, potential you have for AMD to really rip and run because there is a lot of resistance overhead. So keep those levels on watch. You have 3 different ways that AMD can move and really set up, and you just have to wait for one of those 3 things to present itself. It's either going to be come into resistance, top out, you get short for the leg down into support, or we're going to see AMD, right, open, drop to support, possibly set up for you to get long into resistance, or AMD could absolutely open up, break resistance, watch it turn support, and then you could play it up into your next level, which would be like 116.39, right? So there's 3 hypotheticals. There's 3 potential ways that AMD sets up today. And you just got to really wait for one of those setups to present itself. But there's a lot of potential. We're going to see maybe an increase in volume. Maybe we have some action leading up to earnings. It's very possible that we have a day where AMD moves and it provides us with opportunity. But it's also possible that AMD just sits sideways and doesn't really do a whole lot. So keep those levels on watch, sit back, be patient, wait for a good reason to get in, wait for confirmation, and then let's attack it. But we will be watching AMD today, knowing that we have earnings tonight. So we will keep it on watch. Tesla. So yeah, I was looking at Tesla this morning and I personally didn't see anything. And Tesla's just been consolidating sideways and pretty tight, these past 4 days. But one thing that's starting to come out to me on Tesla is this possible double bottom. Okay, that's the only thing that I'm really seeing right now that stands out to me on Tesla, right? We have a couple gaps that could get filled. We have this gap to the long side, and we have this daily gap down here around like 235 to 240. So we have these 2 gaps, and these are going to be some targets that I have, right? If we see a short setup on Tesla and we ever get confirmation to get short, I know that I want to swing trade Tesla down to fill that daily gap. And if we ever get confirmation to get long, I know that I want to swing trade some Tesla to close this gap to the long side. But right now, I don't have any clarity on, is Tesla a great long or is Tesla a great short? Like right now, the last 4 days, I've been very unclear with Tesla. The price action has been, choppy. It's been a challenge to read. It really has. Sometimes you look at a stock and it's like, I just can't read it right now. The last few days with Tesla have been a bit of a challenge to read, and it's been somewhat unpredictable. So with Tesla, as far as a day trade, I don't see anything for a day trade right now at this point in time. Like I only see potential to really bring my attention back to Tesla if we see Tesla breaking resistance. So if we ever see Tesla breaking 269.16, okay, I'm interested, right? Then I think we have potential to see Tesla rip on up and possibly fill this gap, right? But I have to wait for Tesla to break through that level of resistance first, which is going to be up towards around this 269.16. And if I think Tesla could be a good short, right, I want to see this thing crack below 263.85. That's going to be yesterday's low of day, but it's also some prior resistance and pretty close to support as well. So I'm looking at like yesterday's low of day. And if we can start cracking below that level, then I'm like, hey, maybe Tesla can come on down and maybe start to close this gap to the short side, right? So it's like Tesla has great potential, right? We could fill the gap to the long side. We could fill the gap to the short side. And right now we're right in the middle of these gaps. So we just need confirmation to get long or short. But either way, it doesn't matter. Right? If we get long confirmation, there's a lot of great potential to the long side. If there's short confirmation, tons of great potential to the downside, right? So we see Tesla is getting ready to set up and provide us with an opportunity, right? It's going to. We know Tesla's going to do something, set up, and give us a reason to get long or short, but we have to wait for that reason. And right now, there's not enough to base a trade off of. So that's how we honestly need to approach Tesla. Is we need to wait for Tesla to break out of this tight range that we're in. And we're going to say top resistance is up here at this 269.16, right? And we can clearly see it's prior support, prior resistance, prior resistance, prior support, prior resistance. We can see that's a pretty key level, okay? And then we need to wait for confirmation below 263.85 support to even think about a short. And we could see same thing, prior support, prior support, prior support, tons of support, great support, resistance, support, support. We can see that that's a fantastic level of support. So it just comes down to waiting for Tesla to crack that level, watch it turn resistant, you can get short, or wait for Tesla to break that resistance level, watch it turn support, then we can get long. We've got to wait for one of these two things to happen. While we're sitting right here in the middle, there's really no certainty on where Tesla's going. We have no real idea with high probabilities that, hey, we can get long to the upside or get short to the downside. Right now, it really is 50-50, in my opinion, while we're just kind of sitting in between these two levels. So Tesla, always on watch every single day, looking at Tesla. I love Tesla. Tesla's a big mover. But right now, we need to break out of this range. And once we break, what direction do we break? Then we'll trade the right side. We'll trade with the stock and make sure we're on the right side of the trade. All right, that's the goal. So we just got to sit back, be patient with Tesla, and really wait for that confirmation. But it's always on watch. We're definitely watching it today. And yeah, we'll see if we ever get that confirmation to start getting involved with Tesla here. Boom, baby. All right, making sure I didn't miss anything. I'm just zooming on down. Zach, what's up, man? An official welcome. First day here, baby. Absolutely love it. Everybody, let's give Zach a warm welcome to the Alpha Day Trading family. Absolutely love having you here. Cannot wait to work with you. And here in a moment, Zach, you're going to notice inside of Market Mastery, you're going to have a private Zoom link where you can actually join our private market training. So if you ever want to, jump on that Zoom call. And again, you have access to the mic. You can open up your mic at any point in time throughout the day, get my attention, ask questions, ask for help. I can help you like build plans on trades, identify trades, analyze trades, right? So, I mean, you have direct access to me. And the point of that Zoom is like, as if you're here in the office with me, right? Trading side by side as you're part of Market Mastery. All right. So take advantage of that. It's a great opportunity to, again, be in a very similar setting in the same environment, I guess, as me without actually needing to be here. So, I mean, that's the best we can do until we get an office and we bring you guys down. So, welcome, Zach. Making sure I didn't miss anything. Just going through chats. You guys are hyped up today. I freaking love it. We got messages galore. Let's get it. Freaking fantastic. William, last week you spoke about how a stock has a big move on the daily, then the next day has a mid candle. Sorry, not wording correctly. Is SPY Daily fitting what you were referring to? So this is what a mid candle looks like. Okay, I'm going to show you what a mid candle breakout looks like. And this is actually a mid candle breakout that we identified last week, right, on TUP. And we actually had some members lock in some great profits on TUP, right? And typically you see mid candle breakouts on small cap stocks. It's rare to see a mid candle on like Meta, SPY, Google. It's very, very rare that you see a mid candle, and it's very rare that they actually play out. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's rare. But this is a mid candle breakout here on TUP. It's where you have a nice big green day with high volume. Check, right? Nice big green day on TUP. Nice volume, right? Next day, we gap down and we close red right in the middle of the first day's big green day. So then day number 3, right? Because this is going to be day number 1, this green candle. This is day number 2. That's a really bad 2. The red is 2. And then this is your third day, right? This green day right here was on day number 3. And so day number 3, what you want to see is the stock actually gap down again. So right here, we closed on day 2, gave us this red day. This is our mid candle, right? It's the candle in the middle of the first big green day. Again, it's red right in the middle of the first day's green day. So that's our mid candle, right? That's day number 2. Day number 3, you actually want to see it gap down. You want to see it open lower, right? Here it did. Then you want to see it breaking the prior day's close and the prior day's open and high. You start breaking those 3 points, that's when a lot of volume really starts to move on in, and you see those explosive moves to the upside, and you see those mid-candle breakouts play on out beautifully. So that is what a mid-candle breakout looks like, and that's the criteria behind a mid-candle. Day 1, big green day, increase in volume. Day 2, gap down, right? Tight red day, right? Tight red day right in the middle of the first day's green candle on little to no volume. Check. Day 3, Gap down. We start breaking the prior day close, the prior day open. That's where you start looking to grab entries. That's where volume really starts to move on back in. And then boom, you get those nice big explosive moves to the upside and volume starts the return. So that would be a mid candle breakout. And then again, the criteria behind a mid candle breakout as well. So let's go ahead and look at the SPY real quick, right? Do we have a mid candle breakout on the SPY? We do not, right? We need that big green day, second day gap down right in the middle of that big green day. And then day number 3, gap down, explosive move to the upside, right? So I wouldn't say we have a mid candle breakout here on the SPY, but now you know what a mid candle breakout looks like. Example, TUP. And then again, the criteria behind a mid candle breakout as well. And TUP has just been on freaking fire since it had that mid candle breakout. So, I mean, this thing is just nonstop to the upside. And we're going to have to start going live at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Man, everybody's coming in ready with some tickers today, guys. Like, I don't even have time to review all these. Woo, man, we're going to need to bring on another analyst, right? We're going to need to like start the stream early. Like, we're going to have 2 people in the mic talking, man. I tell you what. Amazon. We're stuck under this downtrend. Yeah, we're under this downtrend. So here is a possible short on Amazon, right? You know, trend line strategies work on daily time frames as well. So here is point number 1, point number 2 of this downtrend. Here is point number 3 coming off of a lower low. So it's very, very possible that we see a great short today on AMD, right? Or I'm sorry, not AMD, Amazon. My bad, guys. Amazon, because we are under this downtrend. So here's the deal with Amazon. If Amazon fails to break this downtrend here today, like we can definitely dump on back off. We can definitely have a nice drop on to the downside, right? Because we would be hitting 0.3 of this downtrend. And we know that when we hit the third point of a downtrend and get rejected, there's an 80% probability chance that we have a nice big drop and a decent little pullback, right? There's that 20% chance that it gets rejected and then proceeds to break. But the stops are really tight because the stop is if, hey, you break the trend line, right? Where's your entry? At the trend line. So your stops are super tight and you have great potential. So I actually see room down towards around like 131.90 here on Amazon, right? Look at all of this prior support, resistance, support. So there's a lot of great support down at this 131.90. So if we fail, right, to break this downtrend and we start to pull back, we're most likely going to be pulling back into 131.90 level of support. So then you got to ask yourself, like, is this a good trade, right? Is there high reward compared to risk? Well, if you get short at the downtrend and you have a target down here at that 131.90 and you throw some stops over this prior swing high, really give it ample amount of breathing room, you get an entry right at this trend line, you could see that you have potentially a 3-to-1 setup here with Amazon. So yeah, I mean, if you can open, push into this downtrend, get a rejection intraday off that downtrend, I would say getting short isn't a bad idea. Put stops over this high. And honestly, that's a misprint. That's not even valid. So that's a pretty high stop loss because this candle right here, that's not a legitimate high. That's a misprint candle. So putting this over like some legitimate highs, I mean, you could probably get a stop loss at like 134.20. Your entries may be, let's be conservative, like maybe at like 133.75 would be like some entries. And then you have a target down here at that 131.90. That's a 4-to-1, guys. Yeah. Amazon looks decent for sure. And again, all you're doing is waiting for it to come back into this downtrend and just hit this downtrend, right? Let it hit the downtrend. Let it get rejected. If it gets rejected, build your plan, take your trade, honor your stop, manage your risk, and take profit, right? If it hits the trend line and it breaks through it, well, you don't have confirmation to get short anyway, right? So let it hit the trend line, let it get rejected, get confirmation that we are going to stay below this downtrend. Then build your plan, get short. You potentially have a 4-to-1 setup here on Amazon. So Amazon looking for reset. You know, Apple, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't looked at Apple in I don't know how long. And because I just don't find Apple to be tradable. Now, that could just be me, right? Could be me. But I want stocks that can move $3 to $5 a day, right? I want stocks that move $3 to $5 a day. I want the Nvidias. I want the Googles. I want the Microsofts. I want the Metas, baby. Or I want those stocks that can move pretty decent, right? Apple, it's not terrible, right? We moved a couple points yesterday, right? 2 points. I'm not sorry, not yesterday, but Friday, right? You had a pretty nice little move. You do move pretty well. So I could just be biased to not like personally like trading Apple. I just don't find it to be enjoyable to trade. Like, I just don't find it to be fun to trade Apple. Not saying I want to have fun, just saying like I just don't find it to be rewarding, I guess, to trade Apple or to even look at it personally. So with Apple, it's just one of those stocks that I haven't been able to read. Like, I'm in this long term, but like from a day trade perspective, it just hasn't been one of those stocks I personally look at to day trade it. You're gonna have some resistance up towards around 197.23, 197.23 on Apple. And then if Apple ever broke 197.23, you could get back up to this high here at like 198.25. And then, I'm going to throw your support back down at yesterday's low of day. And yesterday's low of day is 195.26. So you guys know me. I start on daily charts. And if I see something that stands out to me on the daily, I start dissecting it. And if it's a good looking stock and the technicals are sound, it goes on my watch list, right? First glance, I look at Apple. I don't see anything, right? I don't see a daily setup. I just don't see anything that suggests there's going to be a nice big move today and a high probability move or setup or opportunity that presents itself. So at first glance, I don't really see anything with Apple. I think there's better opportunity. And so, Anita, what I would say is Amazon looks 1,000 times better than Apple, right? You look at Apple, you're like, okay, not a lot really happened. And I can see that. Look at Amazon. There's a setup. There's a reason. 0.3 of this downtrend, right? You have great risk reward. You have about 3 points to the downside, less than $1 of risk, right? You can see that Amazon looks a lot better than Apple, and Amazon has a higher probability setup coming from the daily, a higher time frame setup, which carries a lot more weight than intraday setups. So you got a daily setup, and you're just looking for intraday confirmation, and we could clearly see Amazon looks far better than Apple. So if I had to pick a stock today to look at that would get most of my focus, it would be Amazon, because Amazon has a higher probability outcome to actually set up and actually give you a trade, right? So again, Apple, not really seeing a lot, but Amazon looks fantastic. We discussed AMD. We're going to look at the SPY. We only got about 7 minutes to go. Like, we're literally have to start these sessions earlier, or not. Like, we're going to have another coach to help go through some of these stocks and do some analysis. Because my goodness, man, like, what did we review just now? Like 7 stocks, and we're already like 7 minutes away, and we haven't gone into my watch list. So let's dive right into the SPY, guys. All right, let's dive into the SPY. Okay, a lot of resistance on the SPY up between 457.77 and 458.22. A lot of resistance. All right. If we get back up into that zone today, I want to be looking for puts on the SPY, back up around that zone of resistance if we get there. But we may not get there, right? We hit that level yesterday several times, post-market, grinded that level. This is not a real candle. This is a misprint. But it's funny to see a misprint put you right into that zone of resistance, but that is not a legit candle. But we see there's a lot of resistance up at this zone, and we may not get back there. So what I'm looking right now to do is really just focus on yesterday's low of day on the SPY, right? To keep it super simple today, and that's what trading is all about. Keep it simple. I'm really just focused on yesterday's low of day. And there's one of two things that are going to happen at yesterday's low of day on the SPY, right? It's going to do what it's doing right now and fall below it, snap back above that level, pull back and regain it as support, and then we get a nice little higher low push, right? That's going to be trade idea number one. We have a crack of support. We snap back above that support level, okay? Pull back, retest that level as support, and prove that it's regaining that level, okay? We cracked it. It lost it. It's back above it. Let it pull back and prove that it wants to hold that level once again as support. If you see that level holding as support, what's that giving you? That's giving you a higher low off of a valid support level, yesterday's low of day. That could give us a higher low push to where we can actually get long for that push on up, where to into all of that resistance. All right. So if we hold above yesterday's low of day and we put in that higher low and we start to see a push, we could be looking for trades right at the start of the day here on the SPY. Like right when the market opens, we could just be all eyes on SPY and be looking to take that trade on the SPY. And this is what the trade plan would look like. Right there. Right? We know we have room back up to resistance. We would put stops underneath this pre-market low, and our entries would be off yesterday's low of day for that higher low push, right? That gives you almost a 4-to-1 here on the SPY. I want to keep my eyes on the SPY at the start of the day, guys, because we have a decent little setup here at this point in time, all right? So that's trade idea number one, but we could also see what? We can see that crack of support. It's trying to get back above it. It pulls back, but it fails to hold that level of support. And then we see it turn back into resistance. Okay, if we see this support level fail to hold, we don't get that push. Let's say that's a no-go. We don't get that push. We fail to hold the higher low. We come right back down below yesterday's low of day. And we watch it turn into resistance. I would look to take it short. Where to? 455.17 here on the SPY. Where's 455.17? You're just going back to Friday's lows. That's it, right? Back down to Friday's low. So this is what a plan would look like here to the short side, right? Looking for a potential fall back below that support level, watch it turn resistance, and then start to roll on over. We know we would be getting short at that potential level of resistance, right? Stops would go over the prior swing high, and then we have a target down here at all of these lows from Friday. That gives you about a 3-to-1 setup. So either way, I believe right at the start of the day, the SPY is going to give us something, whether that's holding support and pushing or cracking back below that level, staying below that level, and then dumping on off. It doesn't matter which way it wants to go. I could care less if it wants to hold and rip, if it wants to crack below it and dump. I could care less. I just want to be on the right side of the trade. So what do I have to do? Just wait for confirmation. Wait for long confirmation. Wait for short confirmation. Make sure the risk reward is high. Take the trade, right? That's it. I just have to wait for confirmation. That's it. I don't care if it's long confirmation or short confirmation. I could care less. I don't know where the market's going to end up today, right? I don't know if the market's going to dump or rally, nor do I need to know. Right now, there's a potential trade. Right now, there's a potential setup, and I just need to wait for confirmation to take this trade and take this setup and make sure that I have a high probability chance of winning. And this could be a really great trade to start the day, guys, in the next 2 minutes. So here at the SPY, I mean, this is our main watch right at the start of the day, guys, is going to be here on the SPY. And I'm going to go ahead and get an order typed up and ready to go because we're like 2 minutes away from market open. So let's go into some August 4th expirations. We're still trading Friday. And since we're above that level of support at this point in time here on the SPY, I'm actually going to go ahead and start building that plan and getting an order ready for calls. Okay. And if we ever crack that level and it's a better short than long, I'll just go ahead and flip on over to puts. But right now I'm thinking some calls, and let's go with some 458 calls. Right. We'll probably go with like a 458 call here on the SPY. All right. So we are going to be watching TUP above $5 today. So TUP above 5. We have room to 555 and then 609. I like TUP a lot. If we hold $5, I want to get long to 555 and then 609. Okay. YELL is on watch, but it needs to pull back a little bit for us. So we will be watching this one, but we need to see it set up just a little bit better. I do want to watch it today, though. All right. We have OCEA on watch. All right. We have ABVC on watch. And then we have NKLA on watch that we've just discussed. All right. So those are going to be the top penny stocks for today. TUP, YELL, OCEA, ABVC, NKLA. We're always watching the SPY, and the SPY is the #1 stock to be watching right at the start of the day. Okay. I also have Meta on watch, BJ for a daily gap fill. Google, Alphabet is already starting to dump. So that's going to be a no-go. And then ENPH is on watch as well. I know we're cutting it close, 9:30 right around the corner. I have a lot of stocks on my watch list. When we have time to review those, we'll review them. If they're setting up, we'll break them down. We'll call them out. You guys have the opportunity to learn and take those trades as well. But right now, guys, we want to put some focus right here on the SPY at the start of the day because there is a potential setup to get our day going. So right now I have some 458 calls typed up, ready to go. And if we hold this 456 level, I want to be looking to get long here on the SPY. Yes, right at the start of the day off that support level. And my stops would be nice and tight. So right now, as you guys can see, I'm flat. No trades just yet. But we may have something coming on up here on the SPY if we hold this 456 level, guys.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Cool. So again, guys, obviously one of two things got to happen. Number one, we need to bring on another analyst that can stream and review some of these stocks as well in the morning. That's really good of a TA, right? Or we got to start showing up at like 8 a.m. And that's going to be a long day. If I show up at 8 a.m., woof, man, and go until 12, that's a long day. So we got to figure something out though. But again, guys, market's open, baby. Let's have an amazing day. Let's start the month of August strong and profitable and keep this front and center in your mind. We've been stressing this a lot lately. I'm going to stress it again this morning. Let the market come to you. That's it, right? Come in, get prepared. Mark up your levels. Sit back on your hands. Be calm, cool, collected. Just chill, hang out, have a good time. Wait for the market to come to you. Wait for the stock to come to you and 1 year levels. Then look and see if there's a setup. Look and see if there's a strategy. If so, build your plan around that strategy. And then if you get confirmation, take the trade. Keep it that simple. Okay. But first things first, get prepared. You guys are prepared. Number two, wait for the market to come to you, to one of your levels that you've identified, and then wait for there to be a setup. Get confirmation, build your plan, take your trade. Let's keep it simple. Let's make some money, guys. Let's get it. So the SPY already came down, hit that level. Nice little push to the upside here. As you guys can see, I am flat right now. Let's make sure Steve can see all of the halts on the halt scanner. You know, Steve, if he doesn't have his halt scanner, you know, he ain't making 10K days. We got to get Steve his halt calendar, or his halt calendar, his halt scanner. Chelsea, so you were saying 458 calls on the SPY. Do you typically go multiple steps out of the money? So I look at the delta. So the delta is everything. The delta is how I'm going to calculate my risk reward on an option. So I don't care what the strike price is. I don't care if I'm out of the money. I don't care if I'm in the money. I don't care if I'm at the money. Okay. That's really irrelevant to me. What is relevant is the delta, because the delta is how I calculate how much I'm going to make or lose on the trade for every contract that I have. So the delta is what's relevant. Obviously, you got to look at the implied volatility, open interest, look at the spreads, right? The volume of the contract you're trading. And then theta is important as well if you're swing trading. But from like a day trade, like I'm looking to get in, it's going to be a 5-minute trade, right? It's going to be a 5-minute time horizon trade. Okay, I'm looking at the delta because the delta is going to tell me how much am I going to make or lose on this trade for every contract that I hold. Delta, delta, delta. And I want everybody that trades options to get into a habit of shopping a consistent delta. Build your systems and your trade plans, right, around a consistent delta, right? And then you're going to have a really great idea of for every 50 cents the stock's price moves, I make or lose X amount of dollars for every 5 contracts I have based on a 40 delta. For example, it makes it super easy to know very quickly if I get in with 5 contracts right now with a 40 delta and I lose 50 cents on the SPY's chart, I'm going to lose $200 on the trade Like you'll know right off the top of your head what your risk reward is on a particular trade based on how many contracts you have, based on that delta. And that's going to be how you're calculating risk reward. I love it. Like Chelsea comes in, always has the best of the best questions. She has great questions, and she's moving the needle every single day. I mean, I love it. I love it. It's so awesome. Chelsea. So go to your options chain. All right, go to your options chain. And who do you use? Number one, who do you use? And we'll walk you through it. But yeah, I didn't get SPY. I was loading up the Zoom meeting for all of our market mastery students, and then getting that link typed up. And so I did not pull the trigger at that 456 level on the SPY, and it did exactly what we wanted to do. It got back above that level, put in a higher low, and we're pushing off the higher low. That's the second trade I've missed today. I'm just going to point that out there. That's the second trade I've missed today because I love you guys so much. So on E-Trade, yeah. So go to your options chain on E-Trade. Go to your options chain, okay? And then you're going to see the columns at the top. You have the ask, you'll have the bid, you'll probably have the last price. You'll see those columns: ask, bid, last price, percentage change. You'll see some columns up there. You're going to need to actually add more columns. There's going to be like a little settings icon, like a little gear icon, that if you click it, you'll get some options. It'll say like customize columns or add columns. And when you get into that section, that screen, you're going to start seeing where you can add columns, and you're going to find the delta. You're going to find the theta. You're going to find the Greeks, and you're going to want to add the delta column to your main column and then save it. And then you're going to see delta for every single strike there on E-Trade. If you still can't figure it out, I'll get logged into an E-Trade account and I'll show you. But if you can figure it out, fantastic. If you can't, like I said, here in a moment, I'll log into E-Trade and we'll help you out. Yeah, YELL is now halted to the upside. I wanted to get long back down around like 124 on YELL, but we never pulled back towards the 124. This stock has a lot, I repeat, a lot of resistance overhead, guys. A lot of resistance. 200 SMA. All right, so you do have a lot of resistance overhead. You do have the 200 SMA coming on up, guys. So if you are looking to get long on YELL, you only have 10 more cents to the upside. So anybody looking for a halt strategy, right? Okay, great. You have a possible halt strategy. That's great. Location is everything. Let's say you got into this halt strategy. How high can it go? Well, you know you're coming into a lot of resistance. 200-day moving average. That's $2.35. So even if you got a halt fill at 224, right, you have a whopping 10 cents of potential to the upside. I wouldn't recommend this halt strategy just because you're too close to a lot of resistance. I mean, look at all of this resistance on the daily. Prior support. Look at all that resistance, and it's the 200 SMA. You only have 10 cents of reward, and I already know you have more than 10 cents of risk on the halt strategy. I could not recommend taking that trade just based on its location. Mr. Anthony, what's up, brother man? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing good? You feeling good today?
Yeah, had my cold shower, woke me straight up.
Did it? Dude, I've missed my morning routine the past 2 days. I don't know what it is, man. Something in the air. I've been talking to people, and like I've been having a hard time waking up lately too. And it's like I've been having a really hard time waking up the past couple of days. I don't get it.
It's funny, since I came back from Florida, I've had the same problem.
Really? Maybe it's just the Florida air, man. It's like they put the sleeping gas in the air. But yeah, man, I miss the morning routine, man. I'm missing it a lot because like it really does affect your mindset for the day. Just that simple 30-minute morning routine, whatever it is, it's a game changer, man.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It is. But you're feeling well rested now, back from vacation, feeling pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Love it, dude.
Definitely.
So what's your focus for today?
Honestly, I've got Google, Spy, and Microsoft at the top of my list.
Google, Spy, Microsoft.
I haven't really paid attention to Google, but Microsoft I'm all
Of course.
waiting on.
Always Microsoft. And have you gotten into the lesson in Market Mastery that talks about setting your intentions for the day? Have you dove into that part yet?
Yeah, I have. Today I was going to start one other one. I didn't do it while I was on vacation, but
Of course not.
yes, I've been in the mindset mastery.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So always setting those intentions. So hopefully you set your intentions for the day, right? So for example, you had a really good day yesterday, right? You made like 120, 130 bucks, couple great trades, kept your risk really low. Like overall, like that's a type of trading day like you would want to replicate over and over, right?
Right.
So when I go through and I set intentions for the day, my intentions are going to be based off like yesterday. Like what did I do yesterday that contributed towards my success and my profits? And then set those clear intentions to do what you did yesterday to again replicate that day today, right? And so just focus on your check-in that you posted. It was a very detailed check-in last night in that in the Slack channel, and you hit everything on the head. Like what you did right that kept you from losing, that kept you on the right side of the trades, making money. And as long as you keep that front and center in your mind, we can replicate the day that you had yesterday and have another good day in the market today.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's do it, man.
I'm looking for it.
Oh, absolutely. You've been crushing it, man. So keep up the good work. You're like just been on fire these past few weeks, dude. Same here, Corey. Just sitting here chilling, not trying to rush into anything. But I do like OCEA off 5. So that's one thing I will say. I do like OCEA above $5 support, right? Nice big run up, right? Hit a high in pre-market at like 624, started the pullback, starting to form this downtrend. And now we come up and hit, we can call this 0.3, right? We have 0.1. That looks to be a 0.2, 0.3. No, this is probably a 0.2. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a 0.3. So 0.2 down into some like very, very key support, right? Which is $5. I'm curious to see if we bounce on back up, hit a 0.3, get rejected, and then start to see a higher low set in. If we start to see that play on out where we come up into this downtrend, hit it for the third time, get rejected, pull back, put in this higher low, and if we start to see that play on out and we start to break that downtrend on 0.4 after coming off of a potential higher low, that would be a great setup. We call those boom, boom, bangs, right? So would absolutely be keeping OCEA on high watch for a nice little higher low break of this downtrend for the leg on up. And stops would be like really tight because stops would be under $5. I mean, your target would be back up to those pre-market highs. So, I mean, you would have some really nice risk to reward there with OCEA. So keep OCEA on high watch, guys. Oh, look at NKLA. I mean, it came down to the penny. Wow. Right into that zone that we identified on NKLA. So, I mean, it opened and then literally wicked down to that 295 level and had a strong rebound there on NKLA, right back up to 320. That was a quick little 20, 30 cent scalp there if you guys were paying attention to NKLA. I think Steve was all over NKLA this morning. And Chris. Yeah, Chris was looking at it as well. All right, let's look at some of these larger cap stocks I have on watch. I was watching Meta today, as there's a lot of potential to the downside. So I'm actually watching Meta below 314.29. And if we can see Meta fall below like 314.29 and it sets up, I would look to get short down towards like 310. And then we have this massive gap that Meta could fill. That's not my target, is the gap fill, but my first target would be the gap up low of day right at like 310. So there's still like 4 points of potential to the downside with Meta. So keeping Meta on watch. BJ as well. BJ has this massive daily gap that could get filled. So if we ever see BJ breaking and holding like 66.40, we have potential to like 68.88. And I would look to swing trade BJ for that nice little 4-point move to the upside. Josie was like, did you just chuckle when you said BJ? I did chuckle because I said it like 3 times in a row and I chuckled. Yes, Josie, I did. Yeah, Amazon did not really open, like anywhere close to that downtrend, did it? I mean, it was tapping that trend line in post market, but since the market opened, you haven't even really gotten anywhere close to that downtrend. So nothing there, nothing with ENPH. Again, these are stocks that I am watching. Netflix is on the watch list. Alphabet is on the watch list. But yeah, really just looking to see like if and when anything's going to really set up for us.